So let's go ahead and get to Under Siege. So this was the weakest card for a TNA Plus special that I think I've seen since I've been covering the company. I mean, it's like right up there. I'm sure there's been a weaker card, but a lot of the matches did not really revolve around stories or the culmination of feuds or anything like that, and they were just kind of throwing together tag matches. They had 2 weeks to prepare for the show, and they didn't really have any like landmark matches, anything that was like of any type of significance, unfortunately. And so in that sense, it was kind of a miss, but I thought the matches were all pretty good. I think there was one that I just didn't really care for, but like there was nothing significant on the show. But I did feel like Mustafa Ali versus Ace Austin was pretty awesome. And I thought the main event over delivered in a big way. And honestly, I thought it was great. I thought the main event was great. And I thought the opening match was really good too. But when you put really good wrestlers in a match on a premium live event or whatever you want to call it, I think it's going to turn out pretty good. Right. And so it wasn't because I didn't think the matches would be good. I just think there's no marquee matches on the show. It was a weekly booked card. It really was. It was a weekly booked card. So there you go. So on the pre-show, I'll be honest, I did not get a chance to watch the pre-show, so you guys have to tell me if this is pretty good or not. But seeing as who was in the match, I'd probably not. But Rhino defeated VSK, so VSK is back. I thought he was with Ring of Honor, but he's been in TNA before. So, but Rhino got the gore. So VSK is a jobber, so he did his job. And G. Miller interviewed Ace Austin. So yeah, I'm not even gonna go there because I didn't watch it. And so, but then the FBI, Zack, Clayton, and Ray Jazz with Guido defeated the Batiri. Guys, who's the Batiri? Do I need to go back and watch this? I've never heard of the Batiri. Hold on, let me go to the chat. Let's see. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody knows who the Batiri is. So they beat the Batiri. But I like that the FBI is back. And I'm going to go back and watch this match because I feel like as an undercard tag team, like two young guys that have a huge upside, I think they could have something with this team, especially with Guido. And now that they have the full gimmick, I dig that. And then the Laredo Kid defeated Casey Navarro to retain the TNA Digital Media title. So this was the spot that Rich Swann was supposed to be in with Laredo Kid. They said it was going to be a non-title match after the fact. I'm pretty sure it was going to be a title match. So Laredo Kid has 2 wins this year, which is big for him. He doesn't win that often. So, and then Casey Navarro, he's been a guy on the Indies for a long time that people have been waiting for him to break out. So I don't know if he's going to be sticking around TNA, but I kind of like the fact that they brought him in. I don't like the fact that he got a title shot because nobody knows who this fucking kid is. But, he's been in Impact before. He's been in MLW before. And, he's the guy's just been around. I think he's done dark matches for AEW, and I think he's done dark matches for WWE. So he's a talented kid. So maybe he'll get brought back in, depending on the quality of this match. So I like that he's getting a shot here. Good for him. And that's been my thing with TNA. They need to give shots to good young indie talent trying to make their name for themselves and stop focusing on these old WWE fireds. So, but the show opened up with Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeating Frankie Kazarian and Steve Maclin. Here, look. Batiri is an old Chikara Pro tag team. Okay, I've never seen Chikara other than Brody Lee in a cage match with Claudio. That's the only Chikara match I've ever seen. Dobby says FBI looks really good. And a comment, Laredo versus Navarro was a pretty fun one. And Io says that they got to sign Casey Navarro. Big fan. I think Casey Navarro is a talented guy. So we go to the opening match. It's Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeating Frankie and Steve Maclin. I don't understand why Frankie and Steve lost. But there was a lot of questionable booking on the show because I thought that the feud was going to be continuing. But Eric, I guess that actually kind of makes sense because Frankie defeated Eric. So Eric now gets the pin over Frankie. And so they'll probably do something in Against All Odds between the two. one thing I really loved about this match, and I'm not a big fan of Matthew Raywalt, to be honest with you. I don't like the sound of his voice. I don't think he's a particularly very good color commentator, but he is better than D'Lo, and obviously better than Matt Stryker, right? So he's better than what they've had recently, but I'm just not the biggest fan of his. Okay, getting that out of the way, I thought he did a really good job of linking the Frankie Kazarian ripping off Eric Young's ear to the huge story from like the 50s when Killer Kowalski actually by doing a knee drop, several knee drops to the head of Yukon Eric, and actually like 100% legitimately knocked his ear off of his head. I think his ear was like cauliflowered, and then like he got it knocked off, and that's what really made Killer Kowalski into like this. He was already a big star at that point, but he became kind of like a mega star in the business when that happened. And that was like the huge story that everybody always told about Killer Kowalski. Well, Killer Kowalski training Frankie Kazarian. So I like that link. I thought that was really cool. So they did a good job. But I thought this match was pretty good. The crowd was up for it, man. The crowd was hot for it. But look, like I said, you got 4 good wrestlers in there. Throw them in a tag team match. Doesn't matter if the match means anything. I just didn't think it meant much, but it's an opening match with 4 guys who are all like main event caliber talents. So it was pretty good. So, or really good. And it was a good way to start the evening. So, and then I think we're going to get Eric Young versus Kazarian at Against All Odds. Then we get Ash by Botox. She defeated Havok. This match stunk. Ash is not good. She isn't. And the whole thing was cheesy with George Iceman coming out with the holy water. And I'll be honest, I laughed, and I'm not proud of it, but I was kind of entertained by that. But Ash just can't go. And I think they've been like dragging this, eventual match with Jordynne Grace out. Like people are going to care, and nobody's going to care because Ash stinks. Guys, I've been nice to her for the most part, but boy, is she bad. She cannot go. So she's a funny character. I don't mind the character. In the ring, she just doesn't have it. She does. And everybody that was wondering why Dana Brooke never really made it to the top of the WWE women's division, you guys understand now. They gave her so many opportunities. She was there for a long time, and she just never got better. And so she is what she is. She's a fine undercard comedy act, but she's got no business being in a world title match with Jordynne Grace. Makes no sense to me. But, and of course she won with like a roll up. So there you go. After the match, Ash choked her with a garlic necklace. See what I mean? Like cheese ball shit. Ash attacked Havok with a chair and then gave her the rarefied air with a chair on top of Havok. I wonder if they're teasing that Havok is leaving. I wonder if they're just writing her off. That was it. And then Gia Miller interviewed Broken Matt, Speedball Moutain. And I thought this was really good. I thought this was a fun interview. I liked it. And then we go to Joe Hendry defeating Zach Wentz. Joe Hendry was so over. He came out and like people just went crazy for him. They did. And then he cut this fiery promo. Just so awesome. I love this Joe Hendry, like this era of Hendry. I like that he's over. And I know I started the show off with it, but yeah, they need to get behind him. It's time. It is time. But I thought this was a pretty good match. Like Wentz is a really good wrestler. It wasn't much to the match. It wasn't like your typical 20 minutes kick out of everything match, which everybody wants. Like when you say it's a good match and then they go watch it and it's like, oh, this is just a basic match, 10 minutes. It's like, well, yeah, it was a 10-minute match designed to get Joe Hendry over. He didn't need to go 25 and let Wentz kick out of everything. That's not not everybody needs to do that. Okay. Just calm down. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And then we go to Alisha Edwards and Masha Slamovich defeating Spitfire. I thought this was good too. Maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I thought this was a pretty good match. And Alisha was just playing a chicken shit the whole time, letting Masha fight her battles for her. And I was like, that's a good role for Alisha Edwards. That makes sense to me. That they got the tag team titles. There was a tweet that said that they've just completely diminished the Knockouts tag team titles. And I think it might have been Lucha Doncic who said it first, but it's like, bro, what titles are you talking about? Like, you would actually have to do something really good with them in order for them to be completely useless. You know what I mean? Like useless is a step above what they already are. these titles have been dead since its inception. These titles are not important. So I don't care who the tag team's champions are. I did think it's weird that they just put Spitfire together. They put Lars Fredrickson with them. They got a cool gimmick, a cool look. And they seem like they're getting a little bit of momentum, and then they already took the belts off of them. So I think that's weird. I don't know that I like that. But they're making the system strong, and it looks like they might be adding Masha to the system. So there you go. But Masha beat, basically Masha won this match essentially, and then tagged in Alisha Edwards, and then Alisha hit her weak ass pedigree and got the victory. And her pedigree stinks. But and then AJ Francis and Rich Swann cut a promo. I thought this was a pretty good promo. Just talking about moving on from Joe Hendry, and that Rich Swann would have beat Laredo Kid, but now he's got to go beat Jake something. And then in the biggest head scratcher of the night for me, Rich Swann did beat Jake something, and that makes no sense to me. Well, unless we're finally coming to the realization that they're never going to get behind Jake, and I think that's probably true. They like Jake. They're going to heat him up every once in a while and give him a title shot, but he's just not a guy that they're actually ever going to believe in. And I thought maybe it was a Scott D'Amore thing, but no, it's just permeated through the company. They heated him up, put him in a good match with Mustafa Ali, and then they beat him there, which I knew that they would. And then instead of giving him moment, like rebuilding him afterwards, it's pretty clear that Hammerstone was going to beat Jake. And they obviously they feel they like this first class deal more than they like Jake something. And I like first class too, but I thought they're going to be a tag team. So if they're going to go be a tag team, there's no real reason why Jake should have lost this match. He should have won. And Hendry could have, thwarted the whole thing, but maybe they're moving on from the Hendry thing, but we never got the blow off with AJ Francis. So that's weird. At one point Cody Deaner came out to beat up on Dollar General, and Dollar General just whooped his ass. And that's pretty funny because Cody's a jobber, but yeah. So I don't know. This makes no sense to me. Jake should have won. He really should have. I know they're getting behind Rich again, but if he's in a tag team, okay. Unless they're not, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think that him and Dollar are a tag team. At least at one point they were supposed to be, but yeah. Swann ended up getting the victory here with a little bit of help from AJ Francis. So, all right. And then we go to the second worst match of the night. Jonathan Gresham defeating Kushida. At one point this match did get pretty good. They started cooking a little bit. But what ruined the match was Jonathan Gresham doing his fake, like choking on ink thing and spitting up ink. And I was just like, what are we doing? This was so cheesy. Like, I don't even like somebody sent me the mask and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool mask. It reminds me of the Great Muda's mask that he wore in later years when he decided not to do like full face paint. When he's just putting on a mask. I was like, okay, he's like a little bit of a Great Muda spin-off. Like if you're going to rip off somebody, you might as well rip off Great Muda. And that's kind of what they're doing a little bit, like with the alter ego deal. Like Finn Balor did something similar in NXT. And I think Prince Devitt did it in New Japan too. But I was like, okay. And he comes out like choking on ink. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're not going to take this match seriously. So if like in the match, he's going to be choking on ink, I don't think I'm interested. I don't. And then he got ink on his hands, and then he rubbed the ink in Kushida's mouth, and then like it made him pass out. It was very Papa Shango, and I'm just like, man, Papa Shango was kind of funny when I was 8. I don't think Papa Shango works for a promotion that is geared towards adults. Like, no, there's not that many kids watching these things. It's mostly guys my age watching TNA. And we're over Papa Shango. We are. But if he wants to do something like, but the cool, like the mask, alter ego, look, I'm interested in it because TNA doesn't know how to book good wrestlers. They don't know how to book guys that are just awesome wrestlers. And that's what Jonathan Gresham is. But so they're trying to do something with character wise with them. So, okay, look, I'm into that. Let's give it a chance. And I've been giving it a chance and I've liked the vignettes, but him choking on ink kind of reminded me of the time that Papa Shango possessed the Ultimate Warrior and he was like spitting up green shit. It's like what it reminded me of. And I'm not into it. This I thought they missed the mark on this one. They really did. Not good. But Gresham defeats Kushida. Not a good match. And the crowd was not into it either. They didn't know what to make of it. At one point when they picked up the action, like people were into it because these guys can really go, but it just turned into a gimmick and it just didn't work. So, which sucks because I was excited to see Gresham and Kushida. I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen that match before. Let's see what they got. And Gresham's jacking off basically. So, and then we go to Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace and PCO. I thought this was going to be way worse. It wasn't good, but I went into it with like less than ideal. I with the lowest possible expectations, so that probably helped. But I just hope to God that the PCO con thing is over. I'm done with those two guys. And I like PCO. I really do, but I can't stand Big Con, obviously. But Jordynne Grace, got the clean victory over Steph DeLander, hit her with the Grace driver and the Made in Japan deal that she's got going on there. There was a lot of fun parts to this match. And so I just hope that it's all end, that it's just completely over. And there's no hope for another Steph DeLander and Jordynne Grace match. I don't think we need to see that anymore. She's pinned her twice, so there's no reason to have that anymore. So I just hope that this whole thing is over and we're done with it, and we can just move on with our lives and pretend like it never happened. That would be great. And then we go like as far as like bell to bell, like wrestling wise, probably match of the night: Mustafa Ali defeating Ace Austin to retain the X Division title. So I think they're doing a little bit of a storyline here. It says Hannafin noted that Chris Bay was unable to be with Ace Austin tonight. Which kind of led into the story that the Secret Service agents continued to cheat in the match and cost Ace the match. But I thought this was really fun good. I did. They had just a ton of action, lots of stuff going on in this match. I don't want to do like a full play-by-play, blow-by-blow, but they really got the crowd in the end when Ace hit the fold on Ali and Ali landed like right on top of his head. It looked great. It was very safe. Like there's a safe way to land on top of your head. Ali did it. It looked great. As he's about to get the victory, Ace is about to pin him. It took him a while to cover him. It's super cheesy, but I liked it. Built anticipation for the moment. Ali's security members pulled Ali out of the ring, which should have caused a disqualification, but the referee's not very good. And then Ace knocked out a bunch of security members on the ramp. And then Ace rolled Ali up for a 2 count. Ali kicked Ace off the ropes. Ace fell onto the X Division title belt that Ali had just brought into the ring, and then Ali hit the 450 splash for the win. The crowd was up for this match. Match of the night. I thought they were great together. I'd like to see them go at it again. I'd like to see Ali wrestle Chris Bay again. I think he's got a good connection with both those guys. Just really, really good stuff. Okay, so the system in the main event, taking on the House Hardy, Broken Matt, the Ball of Speed, and the 7th Trent, or whatever he's being called. I can't remember what he's being called. But they actually, Speedball and Trent 7 actually came out in the House Hardy coats, and they were doing full Hardy gimmick, coming out to delete. Saying, you know what? People were into it, and I was into it. I thought Broken Matt was good in this match, honestly. And I thought this match over freaking delivered. And I had I didn't have like high expectations, but I was like, you know what? I bet this match gets over. I bet Broken Matt will get the crowd into it, and then Speedball and Trent, and of course Myers and Eddie Edwards will carry most of the match, and Moose will get some power spots, and this match will end up being good. And damn it, it was. This was a really good match. And so for all the people that were mad that Matt Hardy was coming to TNA, and all the people that were laughing at TNA for bringing in Matt Hardy, y'all can eat it, because this match was really good. And in fact, Matt Hardy looked pretty good. Now, Matt Hardy's hips and knees, obviously not very mobile, so they did a good job of protecting him there. But look, guy's in shape. He worked his ass off in the match. He can't get up and down like he used to, but guy was over. He really was. And the delete chants were over again. Not as over as they were in 2017, of course, but they were still over. And the big spot of the match was Matt coming off the top rope and doing a leg drop to Moose to the outside through a table. And boy, did Moose eat all of that. Matt Hardy landed right on his chest with all of his weight and then broke down through the table. And the only thing I didn't like about the match was the outcome. The system defeated them. The system, they pinned Trent 7. So I'm like, how do we get to the Matt Hardy world title match from here? That's the weird thing to me. If they're going to do Matt Hardy versus Moose, how do we get there now? Matt Hardy should have pinned a member of the system. He didn't have to pin Moose, but system should have lost on this one, especially if we're going to go to, against all odds and get to a title match between Moose and Matt Hardy, and which they're very clearly still going to do. But now we have a weak challenger, and it's just the same old story with TNA. Sometimes they don't know how to book proper challengers. He'll probably end up winning a gimmick match, like maybe they're doing this big match at the tapings tonight, where it's like all of the champions are in one match taking on all the other people, and I think like Matt Hardy will probably win that match, something like get a pin, and somehow get himself a title shot at Against All Odds. So it'll be something stupid like that, when really the smarter booking would have been to have Matt Hardy get, pin Eddie or pin Myers or even pin Moose, and then be like, okay, well, since you got this victory over the system and nobody's been able to get a pin on the system, now he is the next challenger for the title. And then Josh Alexander, you can get your title shot at Slammiversary. That's very like simplistic, but it makes sense, right? And I think people would get behind it. But instead, what we have is kind of something that just doesn't make any sense, with the system pinning Speedball Moutain again. So Speedball Mountain's dead. They're done. They can't be a tag team anymore, which is fine, because I think Speedball should be going for the X Division title in Montreal anyway. But yeah, we never need to see them team again. So even though I did feel like they ended up being a pretty good tag team, and I thought they have really good chemistry with the system. So but yeah, very, 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 very good close to the show. That's why I'm giving Under Siege, I'm giving it a positive review, kind of like a B-, maybe C+. If it was a pay-per-view, I'd probably give it an F, but it was a TNA Plus special 2 weeks after pay-per-view, with probably the weakest card as far as marquee goes, weakest card they've put together in a long time. And I felt like the show over-delivered. I really did. And including the final two matches. I thought the final two matches were great. And I thought the opening match was great too.